John Cohn.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
We're hearing that the goods is rotting at the dock in Puerto Rico. Accurate? And what's going on down there?
Well, there's a big challenge facing federal, state, and local responders. There seems to have been a pretty good effort in getting food, water, fuel, and generators to the island. Where they're running into challenges because of the massive destruction on the island is getting those resources, those supplies to the people who need them.
Everybody wants to blame somebody else on this. How much of this is that it's a logistical nightmare and the problems that the hurricane caused, and how much of this is just malfeasance on the federal government's part?
Well, I think that still remains to be seen. And I suspect that after responders get a handle on this situation, you'll start having some after-action reviews to look at the issue of whether, from a planning and preparedness perspective, the federal government and state and local authorities were prepared. But I will tell you, having been in this business a long time and having been a part of the federal government during the Katrina response and in multiple hurricane and mass casualty events, after that, at the end of the day, the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA in particular are not going to be judged by how many people they staged and how many supplies they got to the island. They're ultimately going to be judged on how effectively those critical resources got to the people who needed them in the island or on the island.
Are things getting better, or at least heading in the right direction? Because we're now more than a week past the hurricane, and it doesn't seem like things are getting better.
Well, I think up to this point, slow incremental progress it has been made. We're hearing about more diesel fuel being delivered to hospitals. We're hearing about more active duty military troops and resources arriving at the island. So there seems to be some progress being made. But as you pointed out, it's over a week out. Communication still hasn't been established between the island and the mainland or reestablished on the island. Electricity is out and may be out for months. Food and water still seems to be not getting to people on the interior of the island. There's still a great deal of roads that are impassable. So, I suspect that all of the attention coming from the media on this is probably going to even increase the sense of urgency that people are feeling at the federal levels here in Washington.
You don't have roads. You don't have electricity. You don't have a lot of cell phone service. You don't really have a port, and the airport's virtually gone. So this isn't like a normal tornado that would hit in a small town in Oklahoma, right? I mean, this is virtually impossible to get some type of beachhead in Puerto Rico.
It is, but we faced a similar situation in Katrina, with Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. And while obviously, there are different challenges when the area affected an island, what we saw after Katrina is literally the day after the storm passed, you saw a massive infusion of active duty military personnel arriving on scene and helping out with the 10,000 National Guard members that were already activated, and with the FEMA and state and local personnel who are on scene. And, clearly, I think we're beginning to hear that that's the same approach that's going to have to be taken here. You have to bring in a large-scale active-duty military response with all of their resources and focus them on specific areas. So like you said, getting the airport radar back up and running so you can bring in more flights, because you not only want to bring in more supplies by air, but you want to get people off that island. And if the electricity is going to be out and you're going to have communications out for weeks or months at a time, they're going to have to start thinking about temporary relocation for large numbers of people, and whether that's putting them on cruise ships or whether it's relocating them off the island. Those are going to be some of the things and the logistical activities that the responders are going to have to start focusing on.
John Cohn, I got 15, so I got 45 seconds here. Did the Jones Act and the waiving of the Jones Act, did that help at all, or is that just more of a PR stunt?
No, I think it will be helpful. I mean, it sounds like from what we're hearing from FEMA and Homeland Security leaders is that they were able to get some supplies to the island quickly, but it's going to be to continue to get the supplies flowing to the island. So there's been a number of situations in the past where the Jones Act has been waived. That'll mean they'll be able to get vital supplies to the island more quickly and less expensively.
John Cohn, ABC News consultant and former acting undersecretary for intelligence at DHS. Sir, thank you for your time.